All right, Banshee Fever 750 here. The dreaded Triton 5.4 V8 spark plug removal and change. So I just want to go over these guys. You know, Ford says to do it with the engine cool, quarter turn on the spark plugs, add fluid, some penetrant or fuel injector cleaner, carb cleaner, whatnot, all this other stuff. You know, let it sit for 3 hours, give it another half turn, wiggle it back and forth. But it seems like everybody that does that ends up with broken spark plugs anyways. Just like Ford said, you know, he came up with this idea and then he given a bad advice. So anyways, I went with another method. The impact method. And as you can see, every single spark plug came out. Not one broke. Here's the proof. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Where's number 8? Alright. Oh, see, it was trying to hide from me. See, it's trying to make me look bad. 8 plugs. I put the Motorcrafts in. I just went with OEM stuff. You know what? I seen the Champions and the Autolites, and I was gonna go with those. But then I says, you know what the heck, man? Just go with the OEM stuff. You know, it just makes life easier. You know, got them for like about 12 bucks each for 2 of the 8 packs. And but for all you guys, I'm gonna tell you, I was skeptical about this. I wasn't feeling too confident doing it with a hot engine. You know, so what I did was, instead of driving around for like an hour like all these other guys are doing, what I did was I just let it warm up for a little bit, you know, and then I put it in park or in drive, put my foot on a brake, and just brought the RPMs up to about, 1100, and then put it back in park, you know, revved it up a little bit to like 2000, held it there, and then, you know, let it idle back down, put it back in drive, and then I put it back in drive, and then hold it up to about 1200 RPM. And yeah, I mean, you can go for a drive if you want to get it hot, but I just, it's all snowy and wet out there, so I just didn't feel like tracking mud or snow and water in my garage. I got the heater on and everything. I want to stay nice and dry and warm in here, so that's the way I did it, and I got it up to operating temperatures. Now it's aluminum. They're aluminum heads. This is crazy. Who does that? In all my years of doing this, there's all the stock coils. In all my years of doing this, I've never ever. I went by the Carmel rule of let the aluminum engine cool off before you change the spark plugs. But they overdid it because of the previous problems that they had with running only 3 threads. That they overdid it now. So I guess it's fine. But the trick, what I was thinking about, what was working was what I did was, after the engine was hot, I pulled the coils off. I just ran right through it. Pulled off all the injectors, all the injector wires. Don't be afraid. Just you have to get in here and just do it. You can't be sissy footing around. I went in there and I disconnected. I said, you know what? I'm just gonna attack the passenger side because I know that's gonna go easier. So I just went in there and I disconnected everything that was in the way. All the fuel injector line wires, all the spark plug coil wires, and then I zipped all the bolts off with the air tool that hold the coil in, that little 14 millimeter bolt or whatever, the 7 millimeter bolt that holds the coil in place. I zipped all those off. I says, I'm just going to do this with a vengeance, and I'm not going to be afraid of it, because you know what? When these things break off in the cylinder head, we all know that gets to be expensive. And when I was at the parts store, the guy's like, hey, you want to use the you want to take the extractor with you? It's 40 bucks, and if you don't need it, or it's the rental tool policy. He goes, if you don't need it, just return it. You get your 40 bucks back, or you use it and return it. And I says, nah, that's just bad luck. I go, we're gonna hit it. And then I had the same thing on the right side. I did the same thing. What I did was, when I did the right side, I got the engine hot, and I ran through it quick while the engine was still hot. I took every single spark plug out with the impact wrench, and I didn't go light either. I had it up to 100 psi. Let's drop down a little bit. I got the compressor off. but I was at 100 psi, right? I even had it turned up. I had this on number 4, the highest setting. Got bad lighting here. So I said, you know what? Hell's bells, man. Let's do this. So I hit it hard, and I'm kind of happy about that. You know, I mean, it all worked out. Not one plug broke. I mean, they all came out. I was expecting a couple to break, if not all of them. That's just usually how it works out. But I think the reason why is probably because I left that dang extractor kit at the auto parts store. I said, that's just bad karma, man. It's bad juju. But anyways, it does work, guys. You know, but on the other hand, I did notice, you know, I got 140,000 miles on this truck, and I did find, you know, I don't know if these are the replacements, but these are Autolite, or these are, wait a minute here. I got a mixture of Autolite. Let's see. Well, I found a couple Motorcraft. You know what? I didn't even notice that. So it looks like, oh, here we go. It's a mystery. So let's see. We got 1, 2. These are all Autolites. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So get this. So this was on the, I remember this ugly plug, but I never looked at the fact that it was one of the Motorcrafts. So this one was all the way in the back of the passenger side. So this is actually the original plug with 140,000 miles on the truck. Look at that. And that just zipped right off. So I was going to say, you know, hey, these plugs have been previously replaced, so that's why I had good luck. But if you think about it, this was in the back cylinder. This is the original one that was with the truck. So they must have gotten lazy or forgot about it, or just couldn't get back there and didn't want to risk breaking a plug. But there's the original Motorcraft. And I was wondering why that was looking kind of rough when it came out. Well, there you go. So it works, guys. You know, you heat up the engine, work on the passenger side, you can build up your confidence. You know, you feel like you're doing something, you're going to run through it real fast and be like, all right, this is going good. You heat up the truck and get to it. Don't let it cool off. Get all 4. And what I was doing is I was actually using, you know, you got to make sure that that socket's straight on. You're hitting it dead on. You know, none of this angle stuff. I did have to use swivels for the last 2 cylinders in the back over here. But overall, man, I just got to say, you know, I was just impressed by this. This worried me. I had the Expedition, the 2-valver, and I had spark plugs blow out on that. Had a heated coil, and that was a mess. Then I had all the studs break off the manifolds, and I put headers on. So, you know, this isn't my first rodeo with screwing around with these Tritons, you know. But, you know, these trucks are relatively inexpensive. They do the job. This is what I use to tow the ATVs around. So this is working out pretty good. You know, I said, let me just change these plugs. I don't know if the previous owner ever did them. I'm not going to take a chance. So let's just get them done. And to my surprise, I'm glad I did it. At first, I was going to regret it a little bit because I was like, well, they've been done before, so maybe they didn't have to be done. But then now I'm looking at this one that was in the back passenger side, this Motorcraft. Well, I know that's the original one. Well, there it is. So, I don't know if you can message me. I don't know if you can get a good pick on these. It almost seems like it was running a little lean. You see that? It's kind of white. It's supposed to be kind of like a cardboard brown. I mean, it looks like it's a lean burn. You can see that. But, anyways, like I said, I didn't use any hand wrenches or nothing. But I'll tell you what, I did use my torque wrench. And I got the old style torque wrench over here. I got the clicker, but I just felt like this is kind of a smoother way to go. And I torqued them to 25 foot-pounds. You know, when I tightened them up, I went to 25 foot-pounds, just like OEM states. So I torqued them to 25 foot-pounds. And then the small bolts over here, I don't know, you're not going to be able to see it, but the small little 7mm bolts that hold the coils on, I just torqued them by hand. I just let the bolt seat, and I just gave it a little snug where you can feel it bind up a little bit, and then you stop. Don't over torque them, don't break them. You know, if you're worried about it, you can always torque them. You know, every 6 months or in the winter, or when you do an oil change, you can always just snug them back in if you think they're getting loose, because it's easy to get to. But you're better under torquing them than over torquing them. You know, the worst that'll happen is you'll have a misfire and you'll go look and check your bolts and oh, this one's a little loose. Let me snug it up a little bit better. So, because a lot of guys break those off. But anyways, that's my tutorial. I'm just backing up everybody else's claim. You know, some guys hot or cold. I sat here for about 4 weeks debating this. Which way was I going to go? And at the end, I says, give it hell. I says, you know, give it hell, no mercy. Let's just freaking do it. And this is my tow rig, Banshee Fever 750. The Banshee's sitting over here. See if we can get a little shot. Say hello to the Banshee. Oh yeah, there she is. 130 horsepower all day. All day reliable. And then we still got the Polaris back here. You know, we got the, actually the Polaris was there. We got the Polaris over here. So we got to finish up that project. There's a lot going on over here. Banshee Fever 750. Just to let you know, taking the plugs out with the hot engine. Now one thread stripped. I torqued all the ones on the passenger side. It's 25 foot-pounds of torque. Don't be afraid of it. Just get in and do it. And if you break it, you break it. But just don't be afraid of it. But try the hot method. It works. So real quick, on a happy note, once I was done with that side, I let the engine cool off, and I hand snugged all the bolts. You know, as I did one, I took one out, I blew everything out, vacuumed everything. I hand snugged the new plug into place. Okay, that way debris from the next plug won't go in that hole. You know what I mean? And I didn't torque it down. And I did that for each one. And then I went inside, I had lunch, drank myself a cup of coffee, the engine was cool, and then I brought it to 25 foot-pounds of torque, called that good. Came over here, I didn't even connect the wires again. Came over here, or actually I did connect all the wires, buttoned that side up, went inside, had another cup of coffee, came back out, warmed up the engine, and hit the right side, the driver's side. And the same thing, gave it hell. You know, hell's bells, man. You can't be nice about this one. It seems like every time I try to take it easy on something and go easy, you know, nice guys finish last. So in this situation, you just got to go for it. So Banshee Fever 750, I'm going to confirm, you know, as far as like Mythbusters, this is not debunked. You can actually change the plugs hot. And as you saw, one of the plugs was the original one with 140,000 miles on it. And I'll tell you what, it gave me a little fuss, but it popped out and it didn't break. So there you go, Banshee Fever 750, confirming that you can change the plugs on the Triton 5.4 without breaking out one.